Hi again, and welcome back to Thoughts Under the Canopy, where we've been discussing some dating secrets, things that people need to know. We've been talking about the Savvy Lady's Guide to Elegance, Etiquette, Sizzling Romance and Marriage at Any Age. And I like to get these questions at the very beginning, and then what I like to do is at the end, I have something really special for you again at the very end. So please like and subscribe, listen to the video. I hope you'll enjoy it. We're going to find out at the very end of this tonight how to enter and command a room. And after all, isn't that the most important thing? It's a very basic step. If you're going into a new place, meeting new people, you may feel like a veritable stranger and you don't know what to say. You may only know one or two people, if any at all, and yet you'd like to meet people. But how to enter and command a room, that's what we're going to learn a little bit about at the end of these questions. So let's get right into it. The first question of tonight is from a young lady who writes in, how long into dating or relationships should we ask the serious questions? That's a great question because in different cultures, there are various approaches. Now, if you're a person who's religious and maybe you've met someone who luckily already agrees with the tenets of that religion and faith, that's a big help, but you still have some questions to go into, don't you? But specifically, she's asking how long into dating or a relationship. Well, remember we talked a little bit about this the other night. You want to be careful that you don't want to date anyone exclusively when you're very young, and you don't want to date them exclusively, leaving out any other possibilities, just that one person, because what are the odds that the very first person that you meet when you're young and dating is the absolute right person for you? Now, if the question is perhaps if you're engaged or talking about being engaged to this gentleman, well, of course, when you're first getting to know each other, not a bad idea if he brings up marriage and asks you, what do you think about children? What would you think about it? You might say, well, where would we live? You might say, what type of a home are you looking to build with me? And of course, that's if you're already serious. If you're just dating, you don't want to scare the gentleman off, do we? We wouldn't do that. But I think it's a matter of timing. If the time comes that you are discussing this, then I would say if you've been engaged at all for a month or two and you haven't even asked these questions, you're running a little bit behind. So we don't rush into this if we're just dating a number of different people and maybe we found one and he really feels great and you think he might be the one. Well, if it turns into something real, then that's when you want to ask yourself, is he going to propose? Has he mentioned anything about the future? Now, we talked about that. If you have dated a while and you kind of know what different gentlemen are like and you're ready to move into that engagement relationship, then you want to know how you feel about different things and how your parents feel. Now, different cultures handle this a different way. Some have hundreds of questions and they're going to interview the young man for you. So they might have to meet grandma first and might have to be vetted through a number of relatives or brothers. So we know what that's like. You might be on your own and maybe you have a friend or two that you can confide in. And of course, if you're fortunate enough to have a faith-based relationship with this young gentleman, then you might both go to talk about this maybe a few months in before you're officially engaged and make that announcement to the world. Then you want to make sure that you have the same plan, don't you? So I would say different cultures, different ways of doing things. Timing is everything. Just in our Peignoirs and Pancakes book, which is the Savvy Lady's Guide to Elegance, Etiquette, Sizzling Romance and Marriage at Any Age is all about timing and the peignoir state of mind. And what is that? If you're thinking that you are engaged a little while, you don't want to be too aggressive, but you can stand your ground and say, these are my beliefs, and hoping that he agrees with you. Because two people that are so different, trying to yoke together, that may not work. You have to do some homework first, don't you? I hope that helps answer that question. Here's maybe an easy one. Long or short engagements? Long versus short. Well, of course, that's a relative question in a way. What is long to someone may be short to another, and vice versa. There are instances of love at first sight, and people just jump right in, and they are married forever, aren't they? And in my case, Michael and I had talked on the phone quite a while after being on a dating app, and after we had, typed away, and then of course I invited him down to Virginia because I was having one of my art and poetry parties again, and I wanted him to meet all the people down here. So that was great that he came down and everything worked out. It was pretty quick. But I would suggest, especially if you're young, I wouldn't go for too short an engagement if you're young, because you need time to talk to your parents, your family, your friends, and get to know his family and friends too. See how that works a little bit. Nothing wrong with what some people might think is a long engagement. That's really changed. In the old days, a long engagement was maybe a year or two. People didn't often wait that long. I would say too short or too long an engagement can be troublesome. Find that happy medium, and before you make a public announcement, you want to make sure you've covered what we talked about in the first question. Here's our third question. How long should I date one person exclusively? And of course, you're thinking here, you're not engaged, of course. This is just someone you're dating. Well, I would say if you're very young, you need to really take time and date a number of young gentlemen. People of the same milieu, people who believe the way you do. People might make fun of religion, but I will say, in my religion as a Catholic, they have things in place where the young couple, once they know each other and they've declared their love for one another and their engagement, they still have wonderful courses. Sometimes they go on for a year. So even my husband and I went through a number of months of this. This is very important to talk to your religious, your pastor, your priest, someone that you believe in, and maybe you've grown up with them and you feel comfortable. So you might have a rabbi to talk to. You might have also mother or grandmother. If you're lucky enough to have those people alive, then you're very lucky, because they might have some insight for you. So how long would you date one person exclusively? I would say if you are not engaged to that person, you have not known them before this, you're not engaged, I would say a few weeks, because why aren't you dating other people? If you're not engaged and you don't want to rush into being engaged, if your goal is marriage, then remember that it's not necessarily with that particular gentleman that you're dating at the moment. You have goals in mind of the kind of person that you really believe in and who will share your interests. I think if you're dating one person for a couple of weeks, that's enough time to know how he is with you and with your friends. Date someone else in the meantime. And of course, we're all, polite people, and we're not asking too much of each other. We're just going out. You keep it light and airy. And in that way, you know that you're being safe. You're protecting yourself, aren't you? And now, I wanted to get into this question that comes up so often. People will want to know the basics of how to gracefully enter a room. And there are right ways and wrong ways. So let me see if I can find a little something from the book, just a little teaser here. There are many ways to enter a room. There are good ways and bad ways. Here are some of the wrong ways. With trepidation, shaking with fear, perhaps because you know no one present at all. 2, with overconfidence and a braying voice. 3, with artlessness and a lack of wit. 4, with a bad or even ruinous reputation preceding you. Now, there are better ways to enter a room. 1, with a sense of joy and opportunity at meeting everyone with a smile and a wave. 2, with grace, quietly, and a glowing smile, perhaps a little mysteriously. 3, with a legendary history, a reputation so well known among the other guests that everyone already knows and honors you, rushing to welcome you. 4, as a guest speaker with an openness to be of service. 5, as the guest of honor, where nothing is needed for you to do but to glow with happiness. 6, as the facilitator, introducing guests and speakers to one another with diplomacy and wit. Need practice? We all know the elegance of the perfect peignoir. It is lovely. It flows, is softly alluring, allowing one to move around just as freely as we might be in those scruffy pajamas, pants, and torn t-shirts at home. Just as the peignoir immediately signals that a special moment is about to happen, and just as the pancake is delicious and desirable, the savvy, timeless lady knows how to enter a room and be alluring, knowing how to read the room, and most importantly, how to meet the gentleman in her sights, a man who will know immediately how fortunate he is to meet her. And again, remember, ladies, that when we talk about the peignoir, it's not that it's just flowy and sweet and cute. Oh, no. We Southern ladies know that the peignoir can have very straight lines. We can command the room because we know who we are. If you'll notice in the cover of the book, there are some very distinct lines here in the peignoir. And we are trying to set ourselves in a place where we believe in ourselves. And I always say that you cannot give what you do not have. If you want to meet people who are joyful and respectful and people of integrity, you're going to be that first, aren't you? That's your best self. We do not audition for dates. We will get into that a little bit later on one of our next venues here. I want to thank you for stopping by. And remember, the peignoir state of mind. If you're going to enter a room and you're not sure of yourself, talk to yourself beforehand and know that there are different ways to enter. And of course, get all the secrets here in Peignoirs and Pancakes, now on Amazon. It is available in a paperback and also on Kindle. And until our next time, we may have a few shorts in between this before Thursday. Until we meet again, just remember that you are special. And although we may not know each other, and you have other people who are your real friends that you trust, it's always nice to maybe learn from other people's viewpoints, and we can maybe apply the things that we've learned and help other people. And lastly, I always say that if you're already married and very happy, please try to have an event where young people that are single, that they can meet and be in a safe place. And make sure that you host the event in a lighthearted spirit. Welcome these young people that have something in common. And until we meet again, remember that graceful peignoir state of mind. And I hope to see you shortly. God bless, and bye for now.